Return. Like our meeting came to a stop, or is it still running? You can't tell.
Live. Now we're live.
Oh, we're back live again. Okay. Just checking on it here, make sure. Okay, council members of staff that are with us still, thank you. We'll continue. Hello,
Well, your worship,
nice to see you.
the mayor, members of council, good to see everybody here today.
Welcome to
too.
the chambers.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be back in here, a full-on meeting. I think this is my first one back in here. So
It is so.
we did the orientation at the hall, but good to be back in here.
Welcome, Todd.
So as we've discussed, I will go through the water and sanitary portion of the public works budget. Going to touch on quickly some items of interest, possibly give you a bit of detail on them. Mike's, done so much already, kind of explaining how it works, the big projects, a lot of the money, where it's coming from and what it's for. So I'll go through a bit of operational stuff, and if there's any questions, feel free to ask. I think I'll start off with, and most of you probably already know, how our budgets work for water and wastewater. As Mike mentioned, ours come out of the user rates, the user fees. Every 7 years, we have to do a financial plan within the water systems. So from there, we use our life cycle costing sheets, and then we develop our rates. So the rates are already projected out, and they will cover costs of what's supposed to get done over that 7-year period. So we're not just pulling stuff out of the air thinking we need to do this. We might move some items around year to year, depending on what takes precedence, what has popped up over the year that might need repairs, water mains that maybe take higher priority from ones that we originally had planned 6 years ago. But in the end, the numbers still have to line up and still have to match. And if there's something that has to get done, then we will catch up with it in the next financial plan on the next rate study. So just a quick overview of the capital projects, as you'll see through some of the slides. Out of the water capital projects, 3% of that money is from user fees. So like I said, they're already built into the rates. They're already built into the reserves. So it's not a shock. It's not like we're asking for more money from people. 20% come out of the sanitary user fees for the capital projects, the bigger items. There is some upgrades that need to be done at the plants that hadn't been planned for. Like I said, they get moved around year to year depending on what happens at the plants. And you'll see when we get into a bit of the Stayner wastewater plants, there is some work going on there right now that we're in design stages for that will use up a big chunk of that money going forward. But our operating overall budgets are right where we expect them to be, a little over the $2 million for each water and wastewater. Once again, they align with the financial plans and our rate studies, and so they're accounted for. We go to the next slide, please, Sarah. Two over. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. This is just in the water side, some public works water items of interest that are some big ticket items that are in the capital budget. So you'll see the terms SCADA server and HMIs, PLCs. Those are all used in the water and wastewater side to control our operations at our plants. So what we've done over the years is upgraded to, it's no longer has to be a man station every day. So now we have computers, we have PLCs, programmable logical controllers are called. So they can send information back to our main yard at the Public Works building. We can view the data, we can see what's going on. It's all set up through alarms, through the SCADA system, which is a supervisory control and data acquisition system. So things have come a long way over the last 15, 20 years. And you'll see items come up like this every year in the budget because it's based on our life cycle costing. And some of these items now are getting into the 10-year-old range. And as I'm sure you can all appreciate, computers, electronics, they're getting out of date so fast and changing that we have to keep evolving with it and keeping up to date with the equipment. So some of the bigger items, like you said, the SCADA server, that's at our Public Works yard. So every 5 years, we upgrade the computers there. Generally at that time, there's updates required to the software that's being used on it as well. So that covers the cost for all that. The phase 2 of the Main Street water service replacements, that's been on for a couple of years, and it keeps getting kind of pushed out to the next year based on workload and what we have to do. So we keep adding it in. 4 years ago, we did phase 1, we'll call it, where we replaced about half of the services in the downtown core of Stayner. that was based on a few leaks we had in that area within a 1-2 year span. And when they happen in that, the business area and the major corridor like that, it's a big deal. So our plan is to keep going with that, especially before, as we move forward with the downtown revitalization, to have the infrastructure under the ground new. So we're not doing it at the last minute, or we're not doing it after the fact. We did test the water main going through that area a few years ago. Mike had that done, and the cast iron, the ductile iron that it is very good pipe, and it will last, they said, probably another 100 years. So we don't have to go to the extent of replacing mains, but the services being galvanized, being a different kind of material, they rot out after time. So we have that in the budget, then hopefully we'll get that done in 2023. That's the plan. Few other items on there. Stainer, the well rehabilitations at Stainer well 2 and 4. That's something that kind of goes along with what Mike was talking about earlier with the water supply in Stainer. We're kind of at a critical stage here where we have to make sure that our wells are being maintained, make sure that we're getting as much water out of the ground as we can. So we have them on a cycle. All our wells in the township are on a cycle to be rehabilitated. If we need new pumps put in, the new pumps are planned to be replaced. So we're not in middle of August at our high flow time, we're down a well for a month or 2 months at a time, waiting for a pump, waiting for our contractor to come and clean a well, because that could become serious. So we plan for this maintenance, we get it done, and especially Stainer now, we're doing more work to keep on top of it and make sure we get the ultimate flows that we can achieve. Next one, please, Sarah. You'll see some duplicate slides from Dan's, and it was just more or less to highlight some of the areas of town where water main and sanitary main are going. So I think we've already touched on it a bit with Sunnydale Street, the project that's going on down there. Costs are going to change as we get more real numbers in, but for now there is items in the budget from either the DC studies or from our engineers' cost estimates. Next one, please, Sarah. Same thing with Margaret and Phillip. It's a project that's funded from a lot of different avenues, whether it be DCs, benefit to existings, but it's the same as the Sunnydale Street, same as the other projects that Dan and Mike have already alluded to. Next one, please. Down to Creemore. Now, this one's been on for a couple of years. So other councils might have seen it in the past. Mary Street water main. So as Mike alluded to, there's one development taking place now that has to replace a section of water main in front of its property. We are hoping to jump on with that contractor, and if the timing is right and the dollars are right, then there is a portion of our water main that should be upgraded at the same time. So as opposed to us tendering out separately, there's probably some cost benefit to having their contractor do a portion of water main that leads to the water treatment plant. That is a vital water main that has had some experience of breaks in the past. So it might be an opportunity to clean it up. It does come up on our life cycle costing for water main as well, that with the amount of breaks, and that is kind of a higher risk section of water main to be replaced. So next one, the Klondike Park water supply is in the budget. These are just some numbers that we had prior to going for tender, I believe they were. As we all know, it's not taking place right now, but these are the numbers that were in the budget and will remain in just in case things change. That's a quick overview of the water side of it. The sanitary side.
Todd, do you want to take some questions right now?
I can if everybody like to
Might
talk
as
about
well
water.
just talk water.
Water, sure.
Just water side, and then we'll go to sewer. Has anybody got any questions for water side? You guys are great. I've got a quick question. Back to your first page in regards to SCADA and all the investment we make in monitoring and telemetry data, et cetera, et cetera. This budget also includes the replacement of tower structures for the antenna systems that operate the telemetry. That's what this budget also includes. Is that correct?
It will, yes. We own a couple, we'll call them major towers, but yeah, the one at our Public Works building out on Airport Road at our reservoir site. Yes, we do have communication towers, which our contractor has equipment on, but we do own the towers. So yep, that'll be a life cycle. And then actually, now that you talk about that, the contractor I was speaking to the other day, he's putting together a bit of a maintenance plan and a future replacement plan for them. Some of them aren't that old yet, but it is something that, yes, we look at in our budgets and we'll look at more going forward.
The thing I wanted to point out was that public access to internet is a big concern. It was certainly talked about during COVID, and it continues to remain that way, that people need access to reliable internet services. The interesting point is that the public will see these type of tower structures and think that these are public access tower structures, and they're not. These are telemetry that's used specifically to monitor the conditions at our water stations for the public safety, period. And so we have to maintain them on separate networks. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes, that might be more of a question for our contractor on what should be put on the towers, but the towers are there for our water and sanitary systems so that we can communicate with them and keep the water.
Yeah, my point, I appreciate that. I just want to point out that there's been a significant amount of investment by private infrastructure, internet developers, Rogers, Bell, et cetera, have put in a lot of different structures around our community. And this little bit of budget here is about the tower structures that we look after to provide the services to protect our water infrastructure. So I just, I had that question put to me in regards to calling Woodlands when we had a recent tower replacement there. I had that question also put to me because in New Lowell, there's several tower structures down there, but there isn't any, let's call it high tower structures that are operated by us because they're very low level materials. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out if that's helpful to you and the public to understand that, Todd.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Thank you.
For your worship, if we can just have one moment, we're just having a technical difficulty.
We got a power problem here. We're going to
Thank
get
you.
powered up, which is also part of our infrastructure to work with our friends at EPCOR and the clerk's department looks after that. That's true.
That's okay. That's why I printed them off.
What is on that slide?
Okay.
And Kelly's going to give the sanitary portion of the budget now. Thank you.
All right, Kelly.
I'm on septic, so this presentation is complete.
Right.
You're going to get a glimpse of my desktop. Please, please, please go easy.
This is an FYI, council. The IT department will be reviewed at our next meeting. So we can have that discussion then.
Yeah.
We are still live.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, just letting the members of the public know.
I'm being assured that you're not playing solitaire on that computer, right? We're actually trying to get this logged in. Just teasing.
And this concludes musical interlude.
Yeah, turn your mic off. There you go.
No.
We had it muted.
So, if you go down. That's where
Back on? Where were we now? From the beginning? Okay.
Okay, sorry to have held us up there. I'm glad that it's all solved.
Sorry about that.
All right, Todd's going to carry on. Council, we're going to hear about the sanitary systems budget portion for this budget. Go ahead.
So sanitary, not different than water as far as the water rates, the water users fees pays for this. We do have agreements with large users in each system, overstrength agreements that help assist in them pay for what they put in. Some items of interest in the Stainer wastewater treatment plant, that's where you'll see some costs capital wise coming out of. We're currently in design stage of some blower upgrades and some aeration upgrades. As some council remember last year, we had a bit of a hiccup and we currently got a temporary solution in there right now, but we're hoping to make that temporary solution permanent within the year. So you'll see some money in the budget for that. Our engineers are working on it right now. At some point, you'll see on there the Brock Street sewer design. At some point, we're gonna have to upsize the main pipe that comes to the treatment plant, depending on what growth happens, what happens with industrial lands, as we get more wastewater from this side of town, there'll be more coming through the pipe. So that'll be something that'll have to be looked at in the future. And then once again, you see the HMI PLC updates at the Stainer plant. Stainer wastewater treatment plant sludge haulage is an item of interest in there that you'll see in the budgets. It's kind of an annual thing. We do it and then we'll test and we'll see, it might go a 3 or 4 year cycle and then we can take a couple of years off from hauling sludge from the lagoons. That just is dependent on what the levels are and what our tests show. Creemore wastewater treatment plant. This is 2023 will be the year that we is on our rotational basis to go in and do some camera work and flush the mains. We do it in Stainer similar. It's on a 3 year cycle. Creemore is the size of that system. We can go in 1 year and camera all the mains, look for infiltration, look for trouble spots that perhaps we can't see from above ground, and plan ahead then for repairs if we have to. Because infiltration is a huge burden on our wastewater treatment plant. So the more of it we can fix and keep out, the better. There is a report that was made last year from an engineering company called Blue Sky. I think Mike touched on a bit with some plant upgrades that are going to have to happen in the near future in Creemore. Some recommendations from there might get drawn in with a master servicing plan, I guess, and any planned upgrades. And some various Creemore wastewater treatment plant capital equipment upgrades. I think there's $145,000 in there that is various items within the plant, valves, smaller items that just add up because it's that time of stage of the plant where things need to be upgraded and changed. We are looking at replacing some membrane cassettes in the plant that are existing. We did 4 in the end of 2021, early 2022. So there is 4 more that are due to be replaced. Those are vital, obviously, in how that plant operates. So we'll be looking at doing that in 2023. And there's significant cost there. We're almost $400,000 to do the 4 of them, close to it. So that's it for the items of interest, I think, that are in the budget that you might see if you scroll through it. Then once again, we get into some more of the development areas, as we talked about the Manortown homes and the sewage pump station from there. Sewer force main, sewer main, it's going to be part of the large project. The next slide talks a bit more about the sewage pump station. That's just a little picture of the design of where it's going within there. Same with Margaret and Phillip Street. That tie-in, as we know, Phillip Street is currently ready to go. Its contract's been let out and it should be starting in April, I believe. Then just a quick slide on the rates, just so you have an idea of where we're at, what's coming up in 2023. Bit of an increase based on our financial plan that was done back in 2019 when we did the rate study. So the water rates, volumetric rate is going up from $2.70 to $2.77 per cubic meter. The sewer surcharge will increase a bit from 79% to 82.1% of of water use will be charged to sewers. And the next slide just gives you a dollar figure on what a water and wastewater bill might look like in 2023 compared to 2022. Just that sometimes I see a visual of actual dollar numbers. And that concludes my water and wastewater portion.
All right, sanitary presentation done. Any questions from members of council to Todd or any members of the department, actually? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Your worship, Todd, I just want to confirm, do we do any of the well upgrades ourselves? Or is it all factored out or sent out sort of thing?
Yeah, through your worship, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, all the well work is done by a contractor, whether it's a
Okay,
licensed
that's right.
contractor. Yeah, we do the inspections and, you know, some of the well crocs or the security features on them. But yes, as far as inspections, well rehabs, yeah, that's all done by a contractor or licensed well.
Thank you.
Any other members? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else? Oh, yes, Mike.
And your worship, couple things, the water and sewer rates that get done. Approximately a 6-year cycle to satisfy the requirement for a 7-year water financial plan. That's going to be due in 2024. Given what we've learned in Creemore at the wastewater treatment plant and given the need for improvements at the Stainer wastewater treatment plant, I can foresee an increase in sewage fees in the future. I did take the total budget number out of Kelly's workbooks, and I did go back and look online. The water and wastewater rate study from 2019 is available on our website. And I went and checked, and we're within $50,000 of the projected budget number in the water department that was projected 3.5 years ago. So the rate study that we do is accurate, it's valid, and there's no big surprises. In the wastewater side, I can see some increases coming based on what's happened, things we couldn't foresee. The only other thing I would like to mention, Todd talks about the SCADA systems. That thing records thousands of points of data that are reviewed annually by an inspector from the province. But what that will do whenever we do add a water supply, for instance, at Klondike Park Road, you know, $20 million facility, but it's only going to take one of Todd's crew 3 hours a week to maintain it because the system does the work. They have to go in and ensure the chlorine levels are accurate and up to, you know, chemicals are available, and they calibrate the equipment. But that's the benefit. The other benefit of the SCADA system is not only accurate data that can be tracked and followed because it's mandatory, but we don't have to hire a person to run this plan. It's added to the duties. So just thought that's an important factor.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that is exactly why we have the SCADA system. Otherwise, we would be sending our staff, you know, truck, manpower, equipment, and so on to go and check things every hour, and or even more. It would be ludicrous. So this system is really important. And that's, I just want to point back. This is exactly why I brought this up, because, you know, the public were perceiving these towers as being their opportunity to get better internet. It has nothing to do with internet. It is our system that runs to operate a safe system of water delivery and maintaining monitoring of this thing round the clock. And so that's why it's important that we have it. And that's why we have to invest in it and continue to invest in it to make sure it stays up to date, doesn't have any degradation in signal, doesn't have any signal loss, because, you know, as Mike points out, if it loses signal and these 1,000 points of data that get collected, they have to make sure that we have to account for all those too. So it's an important system. I know maybe it just goes over people's head, but it's so important to recognize we have to have a separate system. This is not the internet. Okay. So I saw Paul, and who else? Was that Mr. Walker? You were in there too? Go ahead, Paul, first, and then I'll go to Walker.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mike, Todd, just what was brought up in the repairs we've got coming up for Creemore, for instance, and Stainer. Do those costs go to the people of Creemore specifically, or to the people of Stainer specifically, or is it grouped together as a user system for all of Clearview?
So the sewer fees, they will go together as Creemore and Stainer wastewater together as.
It's a
one-
flat rate
one
for
unit,
all of
yes.
Clearview Township.
Yeah, if I could, your worship, the deputy mayor, we do have a blended rate. A big chunk of that reasoning is when invoices come in, if we have to start individualizing systems, right? 6 water systems, 2 sewer systems. So the sewer bill is the same for everybody in Clearview. The capital upgrades are paid for by the development community. So we're only talking operations are shared, right? The operational costs are shared. So Stainer is a much older system. So if we're replacing sewer pipes in Stainer, right? 50-year-old system, Creemore's a 20-year-old system. The Creemore rates and the Stainer rates are all in a big pot and they pay for that sewer pipe. If Creemore sewer plant needs a new membrane, well, the same pot pays for that,
Okay.
but it's fair.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Glad we got that clarified. Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Worship. I was just going to say the SCADA system, if we go back to days of old, with our systems that we have, we'd have one person in a vehicle driving pretty well every day to check these systems, small hauls, sewage systems, and our water systems. So the SCADA does save us a lot of manpower, a lot of hours. And it's certainly been well worth installing and keeping updated as best we can to ensure that it does the job that it's supposed to do and helps us with our monitoring of our whole systems.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Beelan, Councillor Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. Todd, this blower upgrade and design, we're currently renting some equipment to do that job, right? And how much was it?
That's correct, through your worship. The blower that we currently are renting was a quick, call it quick repair that we needed. So we were able to rent it from a Arizon blower company. I'd have to take a look, but we come to council with a presentation back when we need it, and I'm going to say it was a few $300,000. 30,000 a month, so almost $400,000, and it is a minimum 1-year lease agreement. So the way we have a year to get a more permanent plan in place.
So
And
will the blower be done in a year then, or?
That's
Could
the
be.
plan. That's the plan. Right now, we're just waiting on some options from some consultants to see what our best bet is to go forward. Plus, we also have to work with some of the overstrength users too, to make sure that we plan ahead. Then we're doing what they want to do too. So either they can grow similar to what's going on in Creemore right now too. So that's going on in the background as well. So yeah, our hopes are that we have a plan in place, and
Because that's quite a bit of money, 30,000 a month.
yeah,
Wow.
it is. Yeah.
It is, yeah. Thank you, Councillor Beelan. Anything further? No? Okay, all right. Any other members? Okay, Todd, we'll let you wrap up your section of this budget review. And I'll go back to Mike and Dan. Is there anything further you want to add in regards to this department before I throw it to Kelly? You guys are good? All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, and to work with all of the staff who work in that department. Good job. Kelly, we'll put it back to you for a minute for a quick review and then over to the CAO.
Thank you, Worship. So you've heard from our staff presentations for today. The remainder of the presentations will be going on January the 19th. Okay. So that'll be next Thursday. We'll have, oh, right, Todd. We'll have fire, recreation, planning and building, and then admin and IT will wrap up. And at that time, I'll give you sort of a fulsome summary of where we are. If there's anything you would like these particular departments to go back and investigate before your council discussions go along, and those ones are on February the 2nd, please let us know. Otherwise, that concludes today's presentations.
All right, Kelly, I would hope that I'll speak on behalf of council. If there's any questions members of council come up with after this meeting, that they reach out to you or perhaps the departments that have presented today, you know, the library, et cetera. If they have any specific questions, work through Kelly, through the CAO. And if you have anything that they can help you, or if you're looking for an answer, I'm sure that they'll be able to provide. And thank you very much. Okay. Mr. CAO, do you have anything you want to add or conclude before I wrap up this meeting?
No, I just want to thank council for give us the opportunity so that you can get an idea where we are. And again, as you go through this material, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. This process is really meant so that you can make the best possible decision. So there's going to be more presentations and then you can have further feedback before we get into finalizing what the budget will actually look like. So we welcome that process and we look forward to working with you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. CAO. Council, any other questions? All right. You're okay with procedure as far as this workshopping? All right. We didn't make any specific changes today. If you don't mind, I did ask for a little consult with one of the staff members that I'll bring something back perhaps at the next meeting. But if there's any motions, you know, you want to prepare them and talk about it and bring it forward. Okay. All right. Seeing none at this time, then I'm going to close this portion of the meeting, move to item number 4, which is our bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting. It is a special council meeting. So the resolution says, be it resolved that bylaw number 23-08, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 12, 2023 special council meeting, be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed 12th day of January, 2023. I'll look over this direction. Mr. Broderick and Mr. MacArthur. Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? And the bylaw carries. Thank you very much. The ever popular motion to adjourn. Recommendation, be it resolved that the council meeting, special council meeting be adjourned at 2:33 p.m. Ms. Deneen and Councillor Beelan, thank you. All those in favor? And that carries. All right, thank you very much. And we'll continue with the